I've got the spores, the sickness. There's the twins in my brain.
The lap of Italy is over. Pink Pog is in the history books. After winning 6 stages, the 25-year-old Slovenian took the 3rd Grand Tour victory of his career. It's impossible not to be impressed by the dominance on display, but we'll do our best today to look beyond Pogacar as well. I'm Brum, and I'm joined by our regular Domestique, Ethan. First of all, mate, how are you?
Very good, Bram. Are you good yourself?
Yeah, a little bit tired. Had a long trip today, but well, there's a lot of Giro to talk about, so let's get cracking. Let's start off with revelations. Of course, there's been quite a lot in this Giro, a lot of surprising riders, but who's been your revelations this year?
Number one, I think many people would agree as well. Pellizzari. Oh my. He is just to be the youngest rider in the Giro and then do those efforts that he was doing all the time. If Pogacar wasn't there, would he have won a stage? Possibly. Well, I'm sure he would have. But I read that he had to push up to 600 watts on the Monte Grappa to even have a chance of getting the Pogacar, and it still got dropped. It was just crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. He was on the top of my list as well of revelations. Just I think he got to wear the KOM jersey on the last day as second place rider. You know, he really fought for that. And yeah, sure, you get to wear the jersey on the last day while you're not the owner of it. For a lot of riders, that's a bad feeling. Like I remember Geschke saying it in the Tour when Vingegaard won it, but Geschke had to wear it on the last day. He really wasn't happy with it. But I think for someone like Pellizzari, a young guy like him, getting to wear the KOM jersey on the last day, that must be an incredible feeling.
Gives him the motivation as well, doesn't it, really? He's worn it. Now he can go and try and win it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think just if Pogacar's not there, he wins it easy.
Yeah, definitely.
For me as well, like maybe in the GC, for me a revelation was Tiberi. And of course, there's a lot of people who were expecting Tiberi to be good. But for him to be 5th place good, I think that's still way higher than expected. The consistency that he displayed after, having a mechanical on stage 2 and maybe basically losing a minute and a half or 2 minutes, that's insane. Like if he hadn't lost that,
he would have
he'd basically be podium.
Yeah.
So yeah, that to me is a revelation. Like this young Italian guy who may be controversial, but he's going to do some amazing things in Grand Tours in the GCs.
That's the thing. People won't really give him praise only because of his reputation outside of cycling, which is obviously in very bad things. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then maybe one other rider I want to call out is Georg Steinhauser. Of course, won a stage, but just the sheer determination and also, super strong rider from EF Education. Honestly, I hadn't really heard much about him before this Giro. Now he's just there. It's kind of like how you had Derek G last year, always attacking. I do think Derek G was a little bit more on camera and more visible than Georg Steinhauser, but just as a pure climber or as a climber, it was just incredible to see him.
Yeah, I only really knew him from playing Pro Cycling Manager, so that's the only way I really knew him. But
is he good in there as well?
He's actually good in there, yeah, as well. Just the engine on him, that's what I was most impressed by. He just had that, basically had the dog in him to just go, 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 go. And even after he won the stage on before, he had a day after, he went for it again, which is proof. After the effort he did on that victory, it's impressive.
Definitely. Let's maybe also, do you?
Yeah, I also want to talk about Tim Merlier because he won stages this late into a Grand Tour, which is very good for his pick in the Tour de France if he was to go there. But will he go there?
I doubt it.
Big Patrick is a bit of a mean man, isn't he? So, but just the engine on him to go there and win the stages that late is crazy, and to beat Milan as well is impressive.
Oh yeah, that's for sure.
to beat
I
Milan.
mean, I think in the preview podcast I said that he wouldn't get over stage 15.
Yeah,
And honestly, basically no sprinters dropped out because of fatigue. If they dropped out, it was due to illness. Um, so yeah, kudos to all of them. But yeah, I did not expect Tiberi to reach the end. I think in our preview podcast we were also quite unanimous on it. So yeah, when Merlier won stage 18 and said, yeah, I'm not going to make the haters any happier. It's like, okay.
he definitely
I don't
proved a
think
lot
he
of
was
people wrong.
referring to us, but
Yeah,
it was, yeah, we were also very doubtful of him winning this far into a Grand Tour.
it's insane, really. I think.
Yeah, I mean, the
Like,
latest he'd won before is stage 3. And yeah, he's always had that little bit of a reputation for being okay. You win the first sprint, maybe second, and then after that, you kind
fade
of die
away.
out. But here, like winning stage 18 and 21, yeah, I did not expect that from Merlier at all. So, but to call him a revelation is a
I
little
think
bit.
I think it's a revelation because everyone wrote him off, so it's a revelation. You know,
Well, I don't subscribe to that definition of revelation, but
that's a revelation.
okay.
I'm sure. Yeah, I don't know if people would agree with it, but
What are your thoughts on the buildup of the parkour this year? Obviously, beforehand there was a lot of, well, I don't think there was a lot of critique, but there was a lot of hesitance on the back loading of it again, and also honestly front loading, with a very soft second week. How did you like it? How did you like the building of suspense, if there was ever any?
the balance of the stages and the parkour in general, I thought was much better compared to last year because you always had the Monte Lazuri time trial, which was on stage 20, so everyone was just like sitting around staring. Oh, we're not going to do anything. But has the parkour this year been made to look better because Pogacar's there? Because he just attacked from anywhere?
Yeah, I mean that is the thing, you know. He attacked when he wanted to, where he wanted to, and just if he wanted to win the stage, he won the stage.
Yeah.
There was not a single stage where he was like, well, perhaps maybe the second time trial where he did try to win the stage but failed because of Ghana. But every other stage that he wanted to win, he won. Well, no, Narvaez on
The
stage 1, I guess.
the sprint stages were, I'll give them the sprint stages. The sprint stages were very well designed because they're little kickers. They always produce like what you call it, on edge stuff. Because they had Navarez in Naples where he was so close, which is insane.
Especially in the first week where we really had to like we were doing our picks, and I definitely went into the Velo viewer every day just okay, are there any like traps near the end where like a trek could suddenly pace to try and drop the well, some sprinters. But yeah, it was just in general, I think the sprinting field was super strong this year. Compared to previous Giros. And honestly, well, you have two super dominant sprinters. You have a Milan and a Merlier. And of course, also won his stage. But it is incredible how few different riders or different teams actually got to win this year.
Yeah, and it's such a low threshold, isn't it, of teams who have all won. That's it.
I mean, if you have okay, so you have 7 sprint stages going to 3 different riders. Then you have Pogacar winning 6 stages. Then you also have Quickstep winning another stage with Alaphilippe. You know, there isn't. You quickly get to 21.
Yeah. You'd expect like a Italian Conti team to just win a breakaway, but there was none.
Well,
of that.
there was only 3 breakaways that got to the end out of 21. I think last year it was 10 breakaways got to the end. and the year before that as well. And this year it's only 3.
And it wasn't all because of UAE, was it? We can't say that because we've seen Movistar being idiots. I'll say that, idiots. And
Yeah,
they
you
don't know what they're
definitely had
doing.
teams that wanted to race aggressively and basically try and fight the GC further down, like fight in the well, second half of the top
DSM as
10.
well.
Yeah, they were doing moves with Bardet as well, where it's just super unclear what that's for. Because in the end, if you're gonna pace hard and go to the line with a GC group, like Pogacar is gonna win that. He's just got to put Mike on the front for a minute, drop
say
half the group, and then
goodbye,
go.
everyone. Yeah. Just say
So I don't think they
goodbye.
were ever racing for stages.
Yeah.
It was always just, okay, we want to put pressure on our competitors, but in the end, it didn't really work out that well for any of the teams that tried.
But going back to the parkour as well, I'll give him the mini Strade Bianchi stage because that was actually a flipping awesome stage. That stage was entertaining from literally when the flag dropped. I don't know what your other favorite stage was from.
Oh, the gravel stage is a really good one. Honestly, for just sheer audience, I'm gonna say the Monte Grappa stage.
Yeah, that's second
because
to me.
that audience, although in the second half of it got a little bit out of hand with riders touching Pogacar, with the audience members touching Pogacar. That should never happen. But that atmosphere on that mountain must be insane. Also, like in a mountain stage, it's not that often that you get to see riders pass by twice if you just stay on the same mountain. I think that's also just an incredible place to do, and just the sheer toughness of that climb and the views.
Incredible,
I really
isn't
want to
it?
go
Oof.
there now.
Imagine
Like, I
you
want to ride
ride
that
that.
climb.
I think I seen Nyron Green. He did a ride up it before, and it looked absolutely insane.
Yeah, steep and beautiful at the same time. It's just like perfect climb. So yeah, I think that was my favorite stage.
Yeah, the elevation gain. You just look back and you see the camera on the motorbike. It's just literally a massive drop already.
Yeah, you're just looking down on the plains towards Venice. It's absolutely incredible. So we've already talked about some of our positive surprises. Sometimes you have to look at the negatives as well. What are your biggest negative surprises in terms of riders or teams?
Lawrence Piffy is one, I think, because I think he'd at least get a result, and then that also translates to Groupama FDJ because let's face it, I don't know what they did. I mentioned this last week on the podcast. Bardet, he got dropped very, very, very early, in my opinion, for Bardet.
I think he had his really good days and then his really bad.
When his days
not
were bad,
really
they were bad.
Yeah. So I wouldn't call him a big disappointment because there were super strong moments of his where he was even trying to attack or like push up. But yeah, in the end, what did he finish in GC? 9th. You would think a Bardet finishes higher than that. So I definitely understand that you'd be calling him a disappointment. And I do follow along with the Lawrence Pithy. I think after the spring he had, expectations were high.
Yeah.
But also think that maybe it just hit that little bit of too long of a section where you have a super long spring, and then go to the Giro and then also try and win there. I think they wanted too much. Yeah.
I think they personally should have just skipped the Giro for him and have gone to the Tour de France, but
that probably would have been better. But at the Tour at Groupama, you're dealing with a lot of different characters, and Gaudu. So that team is probably going to be all around Gaudu again. Gaudu didn't want to bring
Arnold Demar, wasn't it?
yeah, Demar. So it makes sense that they don't want to bring another sprinty boy this year. Although, honestly, Gaudu doesn't need 7 climbers around him. He's gonna
Who's
get
your
dropped anyway.
other disappointment? I want to hear that. It's hard to pick. You can only single one out really.
Maybe the riders' health. There were a lot of exciting riders that dropped out due to illness. That's just a shame. I was looking forward to, for example, seeing what Keon Brooks could do in the GC, but just bad luck, illness. And then I don't know if this is harsh, but Nairo Quintana, except for the third week where he kind of had a little bit of revival, he was pretty much invisible for the kind of legend of cycling that Nairo Quintana is. For me, it wasn't enough.
But like, I guess he was supporting Rubio in the first bit. Rubio had a very good Giro. Very impressive.
Yeah, Rubio is definitely one of the surprises as well. What did he end up in GC? 6th or
7th?
7th. Yeah, behind Artisman. I would not have placed him there. Super surprising. Although super strong climber as well, but in this field,
always remember him from the UAE tour.
Yeah,
he just goes and has an engine.
Yeah, I think it was like on that long mountain climb.
Heberfeet, I think.
Yeah, I think he won that ahead of Remco, and basically the peloton couldn't catch him. So he's obviously a super strong climber, but to do this in a 21 stage race, no, didn't expect that.
And you wouldn't expect, I don't think of his time trial. I don't even know if that's good. That's any good.
I think he lost quite a bit of time in the TTs.
Yeah, so if he works on that, there's a real prospect there, really, for Movistar.
Yeah, but Movistar and TTs, a lot of them need to be working on that. Basically. And then, as teams, I do want to call out Groupama FDG, purely due to them basically being invisible. There were definitely, almost half the stages where you were like, oh, is this team in this race? I don't remember any of them doing anything noteworthy.
People said Intermarché, and I think that's a bit harsh because they had a lot of bad luck. Yeah,
I mean, I also say Intermarché. Sure, they lost Girmay and Petit, but in the end, they had a good first week with Calmejean, and Mikkels tried to save it in the sprints, but you can't
really do much when you got no one near it. Really, can you?
Yeah, but Intermarché is a World Tour team now. We need to judge them by World Tour standards, and I don't think that their Giro was good enough for a World Tour team. They don't need to win stages because honestly, very few teams have been able to win stages. But no, I don't think it was good enough.
No, I agree with that as well. But honestly, though, if Girmay stayed in the race, I think he would have won a stage in the sprint. He looked very strong in the sprint, like he did when he got 3rd place. He had some speed and he got slightly boxed in.
Yeah, but I don't think he would have beaten Merlier and Milan at those sprints. It's, of course, you don't ever know. But the Girmay's the opportunities for him to win are getting more and more difficult because his big wins have been a while already now.
Yeah. And also, going back to the sprints, I want to say, I know Hannah's his favorite fantasy rider. You know what I'm going to say? Stanislaw Anielowski. I think that's how you say it. But yeah, he was at Human Powered Health. Obviously, they went bankrupt, didn't they? And yeah, he got second place on the stage in a sprint for a Polish sprinter. Would you have expected that before the Giro?
No, he
Well,
was actually mentioned in our preview podcast, and we said that perhaps in the right circumstances, with a bit of luck, he could ride a top 5 and probably like 5th place. And here he goes and rides second place. That's definitely not what I expected. He surprised me as well.
his positioning in that on that sprint on stage 13 was he was perfect, really. And Cofidis, I know you were slating Cofidis before in the podcast, wasn't you? She was saying that he wouldn't win anything, and yeah, you got cursed with in the Lucas stage, I think, Benjamin Thomas.
I don't know if I said that they would not win anything. Maybe.
I'm sure you said that.
I'm sure I said it last year for the Tour, and then they won their first Tour stage in years. But yeah, I mean, honestly, what surprised me most about Cofidis is how good Simon Geschke was. And in our preview, I also said Geschke's kind of, he's his last season, I don't expect anything from him because some people were putting up for the KOM jersey, and he actually tried going for that. But for him to finish 14th in GC, that's incredible for a rider like Geschke. Honestly, he should not be retiring because he clearly still has it in him.
It's like
but he's 38.
No problem, isn't it? So where he was looking strong and then retires. Well, yeah, Geschke actually did put in an effort for the KOM, didn't he? But obviously, no one was stealing that off Pogacar.
No. And I'm very proud of that pick in our preview podcast for me to pick Pogacar for the KOM. Everyone else was feeling spicy, but that was my safe pick, and it's basically the only one I got right together with Pog for GC.
Who was the points one?
For me, that was Koi. We'll never know. Your face.
Yeah.
The other two put Milan up, and of course they got it right.
Yeah,
but we all got two jerseys right. So, all right. Now I've lost my notes. Let's maybe look at the rest of the GC. I think a trend that I've seen this year in basically whatever happened behind Pogacar, consistent riders are becoming consistent. And I'm mainly talking there about Dani Martinez, who up till now was inconsistency personified, but here he is, second place in a Grand Tour. Was that in line of your expectations?
No, I think I said to Yves in the Discord, are you smoking? Basically. And I was like, he kept going and going, and I was expecting him to crack, and he never cracked. It was wow. But yeah, to finish second ahead of Geraint Thomas as well, who was also not to be slouched, although he is old, is impressive as hell.
Yeah. I mean, the two were very similar in terms of level. The difference was made in that first TT where Geraint Thomas, had a big off day. I think shipped around 45 seconds to Martinez. And that's basically not going to be that far off between what the end result was between the two.
And also, I want to say as well, Martinez, I think in many of the late stages, he was isolated quite a lot. So, yeah, to get second place, I think I seen some guy on X say he was 100 kilometers out on one stage and he was isolated completely. So, yeah, second place is oof.
I mean, considering the team that Bora Hansgrohe sent there, with Lipowitz dropping out quite early, stage 6, you had, and their sprinter as well on stage 16, you kind of just had a team that didn't have the right support for their leader. But honestly, yeah, I'm just kind of in shock that Danny Martinez has been able to pull this off. I expected him to crack and be like 9th place or 10th place. So kudos to him.
Yeah, I expected that as well, really. But Yves proved us wrong for once, and he got a pick right, unlike in the domestic picks. So
Actually, if we're talking about domestic picks, he did get one right at the end. So
you know when Milan got the mechanic who went to change his bike, I honestly thought Yves actually picked him like it's some form of curse. So I was like checking to see.
So for those who don't follow the domestic picks on Twitter or X, every day we picked, each person picked a favorite rider to win the stage, and Yves failed to pick the correct winner for, well, the first 20 stages. I think that's incredible to call out. It was honestly getting super funny at the end, but then stage 21 he picks Merlier and gets that 0 off of his slate. But yeah, Dieter won that competition with quite a significant margin over the rest of us. I think I got 2nd place. Did you end up getting 3rd, or was it Hannes?
Maybe Hannes. He picked Merlier at the end. But I want to also say that Dieter is a wimpy. He was just picking Pogacar, and he won. So
yeah, it was also a little bit that his picks always came in after betting odds came out. So
yeah, suspicious.
And then suddenly they're always, the number 1 bookie favorite for the next stage.
What?
Except for the one time where he went with, what was it? I think it was on like stage 18. Did he go for Maddis Mikkels?
Yeah, no, he went for Maddis Mikkels yesterday, yeah. Because he wanted to be a bit ballsy, didn't he? So, because he had a massive lead.
Yeah, I mean, we couldn't catch up anyway, so we might as well.
Yeah,
good job.
I think I had the best pick, though. I think the highest one.
Steinhauser.
Steinhauser is the longest one, I think. Or didn't Store it with a stage, did it? Or was it
No, it was Steinhauser.
Steinhauser,
yeah, that was a very respectable pick. Yeah, especially those breakaway stages. It's kind of a roulette, but you
just
if it pans out,
probably got you pick.
All right. Further down the GC, are there any other names that you want to call out? I'm thinking like an Adamsman finishing 6th. Is that where he belongs, or is something wrong?
We're getting into a controversy now, aren't we? Where it causes many debate. Aronsman, 6th place. I think he can obviously do better, can't he? I think. Do you think as well can do better?
I honestly do think he can be better. And within Domestique, he's known as like the 3rd week master. Doesn't get weaker towards the end as much as other riders are. But what we saw actually in the last week, we saw Adamsman suffer the most. I think
he had to do all the work for Cheetah, didn't he? Really? So
but he didn't really need to do that, because why? Like, they weren't gonna drop a Martinez anyway. So I don't understand why Adamsman was thinking of pulling there. But in an interview with In de Leiderstra, he also said something really interesting, and Dieter already put up a data tweet about that earlier today, where he gained 4 to 5 kilos throughout this Giro d'Italia, which is super weird. It is possible to gain 1 or 2 kilos during a Grand Tour.
That's a
but
lot, yeah.
4 to 5, is that a mistake by the Ineos nutrition team for him to gain that much weight near the end of a Grand Tour?
It's got to be, hasn't it? Because the disadvantage you'd have from that is, I'd like to see what his dad says about that, which was always controversial, isn't it?
Yeah,
But he wants what's best for his son, so it makes sense.
Yeah, just gaining that amount of weight near the end of a Grand Tour doesn't sound great. There's probably a scientific explanation for it that I'm missing. If you know about it, put it in the comments on YouTube. We'll gladly read it.
I read one of them in the X comment saying like something like water retention.
Okay. If someone in the comments can explain that to us, go for it. We'll gladly read it. And then I want to call out one other rider, and that's Jan Hirt. Honestly, I did not think that Soudal Quickstep would go for a GC with Jan Hirt. To be fair, he didn't get that much support. I think he had some support from Van Zevenand, and he just had to follow all of the moves. But he basically just snuck in a top 10 on GC without really like being in the picture a lot.
Yeah, just super sneaky, do his job. That's all we had to do. Super consistent as well. It's like compare it to football, where it's like just a midfielder that just has an engine and just has the clock works like clockwork, you know. And that brings me on to Van Zevenand as well. I think he was slightly disappointing in my opinion.
Yeah, I think in the first couple of stages he was there. Was it in the first stage and second stage where he was trying to do moves? But after that he kind of vanished. There were a couple breakaways where he tried to sneak in or got in, but then when the moves really got made to whittle down the group, he was gone. Yeah, not the best Grand Tour for Mari, but maybe Grand Tours are just not for him. And at the end, he did also say, this Grand Tour is too long for me. He said in an interview, it's a couple stages too long. He wanted to go home, but that he wanted to ride till the finish. And yeah, that's fair.
I have another one, and most disappointing as well. We didn't mention it, and I think it's the most obvious one. Caleb Ewan.
Can you be disappointed if you have no expectations?
No, obviously, but it depends on the person, doesn't it? I think many people would have at least expected them to at least compete. They're not even compete for a stage, really.
I think he got a sixth place at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's obviously not good enough for a rider of his caliber, or what used to be his caliber. It's getting to a point where, is Caleb Ewan still one of the best sprinters in the world? Based on the results, there's only one right answer there. Eve will gladly give that answer, but shaking of your head.
He's getting older, yeah. But then you go and see Christoph.
29. Like, he's not old.
And you see Christoph. Look at Christoph. I know I'm being biased, but Christoph just he ages like a fine wine, doesn't he? I don't know if the viewers have seen it. Winning in his home, 3 of 3, Stavanger, beating Mayus, and also getting a third place on one of the stages as well. Very nice to see. Also had a crash, a small minor crash. Yeah, small minor crash, just with a little elbow cut. But it's still scary to see, isn't it?
Yeah, obviously, if fractures are only just healing, they're still fresh. It's always a little bit scary to see them go down again. But yeah, I'm happy to see him racing again. I think, the curve he's taking now towards the Tour, potentially, and the Olympics, definitely, it's going to be great. I think he's going to be there. It's basically right after the Tour, so he's going to be there for them. But maybe back to Caleb Ewan. He's really not too old. He's turning 30 during the Tour. For a sprinter, that's not too old. So it's really not an age thing. Is it? Well, I don't know what it is, but when we're discussing potential Grand Tour stage winners, I don't think I'll be putting up Caleb Ewan as one anymore.
Tour de France, no chance really. Let's be honest.
No,
no chance. Yeah, well done.
I mean, I'm actually, and perhaps this is leading us into our next topic, which was going to be implications for the Tour. Of course, mainly talking about Pogacar there. But if we're talking about sprinters, Milan and Merlier have been super impressive here. But how do you think they will go to, if they go to the Tour? I don't think that Milan is slated to go to the Tour. I think he wants to prepare for the Olympics. Yeah, so he's probably going to skip the Tour.
Merlier, if he goes, then it's just, I think Philipsen may actually end up winning. How many stages? Proof.
Yeah, that's the thing, of course. Doubling up the Grand Tours is a big risk. And of course, Philipsen is going to have pretty fresh legs. So you're thinking that Philipsen will just dominate the Tour this year in the sprints?
And I'll give Cavendish a stage. There we go. Job's done.
I mean, I would love to see it.
He's winning one stage.
Philipsen kind of feathers his brakes a couple of meters before the line and lets Cav go past.
And then you get Colton Kirby again. That was the Bordeaux stage, I think. He's gonna do it. And then Philipsen beats him. It was quite funny actually. But going back to the implications, Pogacar, he just really took the mickey, didn't he? Really.
I think that's the right word for it. There's another word that you could use, but I think Nathan van Hooydonk has proven that you can't say that in media publications. If Vingegaard doesn't go to the Tour, it's going to be a very one-sided lap around France. I think Pogacar right now is going to, I don't think he really overdid himself.
He never really did himself. That's what I mean. He just looked perfect the entire time.
Yeah. And I also think that, his new trainer at UAE definitely has kept it in mind where, his efforts towards the end of stages, yes, they looked impressive, but every time you saw the look on his face, you wouldn't say okay, he's going full out. He's just doing his efforts that the trainer told him to do, and he's going to be in amazing form.
Need to post him in the data thing. Was it not his best ever 1 hour power? I couldn't translate it Dutch. Which is crazy, isn't it?
Best 1 hour of power on the Monte Grappa stage. That's absolutely incredible. Pogacar does have a history of setting super high power numbers at the end of Grand Tours, which is also really interesting. He did his best 20 minutes ever on the Champs-Élysées stage of last year's Tour de France, which is also a little bit funny to do that on the flat. Of course, the Champs-Élysées is not entirely flat. But yeah, I think we can all, if Vingegaard doesn't go, Pogacar is just
I keep seeing Vingegaard train. I keep getting them on my TikTok and Instagram. Vingegaard, just people seeing him training. So it's looking good for Vingegaard, but I don't know if you would risk it. I think they actually may risk it. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, they're saying that if he's not 100%, they won't send him. But honestly, if they don't, then we might already write down the winner of the Tour. To be fair, a lot of people including us already wrote down the winner of this Giro before the race even started. If we have to do that for the Tour as well, you know, I don't think that's very good for cycling.
It's not very good, is it? But
Pogacar is incredible for cycling, don't get me wrong, but it's just not the most exciting if you know who's already going to win the race. Like, that's also what's putting a lot of people off from Formula One in recent years.
Yeah, definitely for me.
So
Roglic, Roglic is an enigma for me. There's something in me that makes me think Roglic is actually going to do something. It's his last chance.
Sure, it's his last chance, but he's going up against Pogacar. Something needs to seriously go wrong for Pogacar to ship considerable amount of time to Roglic.
Yeah, it's just...
And I don't see it happening.
I don't see it happening as well, but Remco as well, I don't know what he's going to do.
I mean, he's training well already. So, yeah, but I'm a big Remco fan, biggest Remco fan of this podcast. But, you know, the way that Pogacar was riding.
No chance. No one comes close to it, really. But
only Vingegaard, and yeah.
I guess
if Vingegaard is not 100% there at the Tour, I think we can already write it down.
We'll see some riders form this coming week, though, with the Dauphiné. So, yeah, that's going to be nice to watch. Remco, is Roglic there?
Is Remco racing that?
Remco is racing. I'm sure he is.
Yeah, it was planned before the season, but I don't know if he was still going or if he was going to Swiss.
Yeah, Remco and Mikel Landa were there again, provisionally, obviously, and Van Wilder. So, yeah, the duo of Landa and Evenepoel, I think Remco will come second.
And with that, it's time to wrap up the Domestique Cycling Podcast. A big thank you to our audience for tuning in over this Giro. It's been incredibly good fun. If you enjoyed the episode, consider supporting us on Ko-Fi or Twitter. And if you're on YouTube, hit subscribe and turn on your notifications if you want to. We appreciate all of your support and look forward to seeing you next time. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
I've got the spores, the sickness. There's the twins in my brain.